Captain Midnight.
This video is brought to you by CuriosityStream. So, as you can probably already tell, I'm doing things a little differently in this video. This week, I'm going to be tackling my favorite scene in MCU history, and I'm definitely not alone. I teamed up with a ton of great channels you'll probably recognize, and all those videos are out right now. So definitely make sure to check out all the One Marvelous Scene videos after finishing this one, because I think it's a fun, interesting project. As for my scene, I gotta say, to be honest, I really resisted picking this one for a long time. In fact, going into this whole thing, I kept telling myself, you gotta find a pick that isn't that one. I mean, come on, it's just so obvious. And I think it is the obvious pick. This moment might still be the most iconic scene in MCU history. Now, I could see someone making the case that it's been surpassed by things like the airport battle or the snap, and maybe it has been for you, but for me, this scene is still so hard to top. I just couldn't escape it. To me, all the payoff of the promise of the first phase of the MCU is found right here. So in the end, I'm pretty happy to give in to the obvious, and try to dig into the Avengers' most incredible moment.
As Iron Man jets away from the admiring throng,
I've always really admired Joss Whedon's Avengers screenplay. That isn't to say it's perfect. I think the first act is a little too bogged down in exposition, but it's pretty incredible at finding great character moments amidst all the chaos of the action. And I think that's best demonstrated here. It's kind of easy to forget since he slips into the action so easily, but this movie had to basically reintroduce the character of Bruce Banner from scratch. After Ang Lee's interesting but deeply flawed Hulk, and Ed Norton's movie which didn't exactly blow anyone away, people were skeptical if this was a character that could actually be done well on the big screen. But if there's any single scene that really sold the character as an MCU staple going forward, it's this one. And it encapsulates everything Whedon does well. The movie has already done a great job at showing us very efficiently how Ruffalo's Bruce Banner is different from the ones that came before him. He's tortured and sad like Banner and Norton, sure, but there's also a cleverness and looseness to his performance that they just don't have. Ruffalo's take on the role just feels so much more naturalistic and improvisational than the other two. They've also already shown off the Hulk, but I think this scene is when he really becomes an Avenger, where the movie convinces us that the Hulk can believably work alongside the rest of the team, which was kind of a hard sell for many people who were used to seeing the character as a charmless, rampaging monster. But the key insight into this Bruce Banner is, of course, the line.
That's my secret, Captain. I'm always angry.
It's the best line in the movie and probably one of the best lines in a blockbuster movie this decade. Now, if that seems like an exaggeration to you, I get it, but I mean, just think about everything this one line does for the film. It adds a psychological dimension to Banner that also clicks perfectly with what we've already seen. Mark Ruffalo's Bruce is more funny than those who played the role before him, but no less angry. His life has already been torn apart by being the Hulk, and we see that he's basically hiding at the start of the film. So in retrospect, it just makes so much sense that, of course, he's always angry. At the military who hunted him, at the Hulk, and probably even at himself. Banner has spent the whole movie looking kind of uncomfortable in his own skin, because he's bottling up rage all the time. I think it instantly makes him a more complicated character than Norton's Banner ever really got the chance to be. And of course, in terms of a third act action set piece, the transformation is just tough to beat. It's the kind of stand up and cheer moment that so many movies aim for, and that few can land this well. Joss Whedon gets dinged a lot by critics for his lack of style as a director. And yeah, I can definitely understand criticisms that the Avengers often looks and is lit like a TV show, which is where Whedon really learned his craft. But I think he deserves more credit for the third act of the Avengers, and scenes like this are exactly the reason why. There's more to directing than just how beautifully cinematic your lighting is, like a clear sense of pace and timing. This battle is really long, but unlike so many other third act superhero fights, it never really drags. And this scene starts out as a great breather between the action. And when that action does start again, the tide is turned in the team's favor. Another thing these movies are often criticized for is the lack of memorable music. But if there's one scene you can't knock for that, it's this one. Alan Silvestri's Avengers theme gets its absolute best showcase here. As other YouTubers have pointed out, most MCU movies, especially early ones, seem hellbent on consigning their scores to the background. there to add a bit of texture but never be too noticeable. This moment, though, is the complete opposite of that. It's a big triumphant blast of music that feels straight out of old Hollywood epics. And it all comes together to create a moment that I think rises above pretty much anything else found in the third act of an MCU film.
Hulk hands with real Hulk sounds. Is there a Hulk in you?
The Avengers, for better or for worse, is really a collection of great moments. The specifics of Loki's plan, what this cube does, the plot mechanics of it all, that stuff isn't really that memorable, I don't think. Much like he did in great episodes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Whedon is more interested in building the story to force tough, character-defining choices, or accommodate funny, character-based humor. And that's all in service of doing the one thing these MCU movies do best, giving us great character beats that perfectly get to the heart of why people respond to these decades-old heroes in the first place. Everyone gets their moment to shine in the Avengers, but as the character that's pretty much being introduced for the first time, the Hulk probably gets the most memorable one. With Endgame opening this week and Marvel completely dominating the pop culture landscape, it's weird to think back on how unlikely this whole thing seemed in Phase 1. Iron Man made Marvel Studios a successful creator of superhero movies, but it was the Avengers that made them the successful creators of a cinematic universe. If the movie had failed, it would have looked like an experiment gone wrong, but it worked. And more than any other scene, I think this sums up why. There's a clip of Stan Lee explaining his problems with the old 70s Spider-Man TV show that I've actually used in a video before, but I think it just perfectly applies here.
With Spider-Man, I felt that the people who did the live-action series left out the very elements that made the comic book popular. They left out the humor, they left out the human interest and playing up the personality and characterizations and personal problems.
Everything he says that show lacked, humor, heart, a focus on characterization, and well-defined personalities above all, that's exactly what this scene has. It's action and humor in service of coming to a deeper understanding of this character. If that doesn't get straight down to the core appeal of the Marvel Universe, I don't know what does. So yeah, that was my favorite scene in MCU history. I'm definitely ready for Endgame to just be out. I know a lot of people are rewatching like all the MCU movies before they see it, but to be honest, I've already seen them like a lot of times, as you can probably guess. So I've actually spent the last week binging something a little weirder. Scotland's Murder Mysteries on Curiosity Stream. I know that's totally random, but honestly, this thing is genuinely addictive because they paint such an interesting portrait of Scotland through the years, kind of through this true crime lens. Everything from the class system to old religious traditions I'd never heard of made this a way more interesting watch than I expected. If you want to check it out, you can watch it for free on Curiosity Stream. Founded by the same guy as the Discovery Channel, Curiosity Stream is the #1 streaming service to check out for documentaries. They have over 2,000 to choose from on everything from history to science to tech and more. It's not going to break the bank either, since Curiosity Stream is only $2.99 a month and is available worldwide. And you can get 30 days on the service for free just by going to curiositystream.com/CaptainMidnight, which you'll also find in the description and pinned comment below.
Here's a special tip for the fellas and girls who have not already joined Captain Midnight's new 1940 Flight Patrol. You'd better hurry up and join at once because there's a big adventure ahead. The thing to do now is to get started because we're going to have not only barrels of fun, but loads of free gifts and prizes too.